Any clubs from Division 24? Division 23 West? 23 East? Okay. Division 23 Central. Are there any guests with us from Division 23 Central? Okay, look, we have no guests this evening. Okay. We move to our SLPs. Could you identify your club and your number of persons in the delegation? Oh, my apologies. I do recognize distinguished Governor Mel from the Bahamas. It's good to have you, distinguished Governor Melford.
Yes, it's always a pleasure being in your meeting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for joining. Okay, can our SLPs go ahead? Sorry to have interrupted.
Good night, good evening, everyone.
Yes,
I am President Deborah Heron from the St. Hughes High School Key Club. I am currently alone, hoping for more of my members to follow in shortly.
Okay, thank you very much, President Deborah. It's always good to have you. Are there any other SLPs that are with us this evening?
Good night, everyone. This is President Joshua Brown from the American University College KCOK International Club. And unfortunately, I'm alone at the moment, but I'm looking forward to seeing other members join in.
Okay, thank you very much, President Joshua. And I want to make mention that one of our new clubs that is also joining us this evening is Kiwani and Marissa from the Kiwanis Club of Caribbean Emerging Leaders. Welcome to have you, Kiwani and Marissa. Are there any other SLPs that are with us this evening?
Yes, good night, PD. Good night, everyone. President Xavier from the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean. I'm joined by Treasurer Casey. I'm hoping for more members to join as well. Thank you for the invite and looking forward to a great meeting.
Okay, thank you very much for joining, President Xavier. Are there any other SLPs with us?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Carol Courtney Palmer from the Kingston College Key Club. I'm alone at the moment, but more members should be joining soon.
Okay, thank you very much for joining. It's always good to have you. Okay, then, President, that takes care of it.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, sir.
We have not received any apologies for absence, so we will now move to our recognition of birthdays and anniversaries. So I hand over to our VP designate and bulletin editor, Newton Ramdal.
Thank you, President Richard. Good night, fellow Kiwanians. Good night, everyone. A special good night to my new best friend, the Sarge. Okay, so this week for birthdays and anniversaries. Well, actually, we have two birthdays for this week. We have Charmaine, who is the wife of DP Lloyd Barnett Jr., who celebrates her birthday on Friday. That's July 30th. So please, anyone who has her number, please give her a call. Wish her happy birthday on behalf of the rest of us. And then we have the Emancipation Boy. I don't know if I'm out of line by calling him a boy, but past Chairman George Gillings celebrates his birthday on the 1st of August. So we want to wish him a happy birthday when it comes. Also through, well, that's it for our list for this week, but through President Richard, I would want to invite anyone who is in this meeting who is celebrating a special day now or anytime soon or just past to just open your mic, let us know so we can celebrate with you.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm President Labor here. Today is actually my older brother's 21st birthday.
Okay, and when you see him, please wish him happy birthday on behalf of all the members of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston and the Kiwanis movement in Jamaica in general. Well, Governor Mel is here, so the Kiwanis movement in general.
I'll be sure to do so, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, well, with that, I know everyone is waiting to hear what these gentlemen have to say tonight, two real stalwarts. So let me hand it over back to President Richard.
Yes, just to note, I am getting a message of unstable internet. So that's just a caution, but so far I have not had failure. We now take Kiwanis education, and this will be done by Secretary DLG William Reeson.
Thank you, President Richard. Good night, fellow Kiwanians, guests, and SLP members. Tonight's Kiwanis education is taken from the standard form for club bylaws as revised by Kiwanis International October 2012, and specifically Article 5, which has to do with elections and vacancies. You will recall that President Richard mentioned that one of our directors designates will not be going forward. So specifically, how do we fill this vacancy? Section 5(4) says vacancies will be filled as follows: president by the president-elect, immediate past president, or vice president, if any, as provided in the club policy. Immediate past president by the most recent president willing and able to serve. For all other officers and directors, new elections will be held within 60 days, provided at least 14 days previous notice of the meeting and nomination is given to the members. In other words, the vacancy shall be filled at a regular club meeting upon 14 days notice. However, if the secretary is appointed, the president will appoint someone to fill the vacancy subject to approval by the board. President Richard, that's our Kiwanis education for the seat. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. We now move to our main event for the evening, and I now hand over DP Stuart Spencer to take us through this exercise and to introduce our presenters. DP Stuart, remember to unmute your mic. We're not getting any audio from you. Oh, we're still not hearing you.
Okay, hearing me now?
Yes, we are reading you loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the other system wasn't coming through because I was unmuted there. All right, let me mute it again, that one. All right. Yes, once again, fellow Kiwanians and guests, it is indeed my pleasure but my job is not really an introduction. It's really just to tell you who we have this evening, and you may have seen the flyer, but it's just another segment in our series Up Close and Personal, where we ask two of our members to share a little bit of their personal side. It's totally up to them how much they want to share, and we have had some nice exposés over the past months. So this evening we have two, and I think it was somebody said that two stalwarts, and they certainly are. Director Eric Malcolm and past district trustee Ralston Nunes. So now they will tell you about themselves. So I don't need to go into that part of an introduction. So let me just say that the first person up is going to be Director Eric Malcolm. And I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say. Eric, over to you.
Thank you, DP. Still, not much to say, but I'll try. You hear me?
Yes, you're coming through. You're coming through.
Okay, excellent, excellent.
We're hearing you, but we're not seeing you.
Yeah, we would like to see you as well.
Love to see you. All right, I'll have to fiddle with this to get the video up. Anyway, fellow Kiwanians and friends, it's really an honor and privilege, to be asked to be part of this upfront and personal platform, initiated by DP Stew. I agreed to participate because as a long-standing Kiwanian, my experience is that as we continuously recruit new members, we tend not to recognize each other on the streets and even in our meetings. And especially nowadays with these online meetings, for retired Kiwanians and those that are a bit inactive, we tend not to know them. And, I personally believe in one of our great tenets, which says that we are to build enduring friendship and render altruistic service. Well, as most of you know, I tend not to be overly extroverted in personality, but rather I prefer to render my services outside of the limelight and fanfare and the photo ops. So where do I begin to tell you a bit about myself? I grew up in a rural district, rural St. Andrew, at a place called Parks Road. It's just a couple of miles outside of Stony Hill. As a typical country kid, we did what most boys do. We go fishing in the rivers, bird shooting, we play cricket with coconut bat and sour orange bar, and up to the occasional mischief at times. Then after primary school, I ended up going to a Catholic school called St. Mary's College, not to be confused with St. Mary's High.
Okay.
That school was actually the co-ed brother of St. George's College, because at times, we shared the same teachers, the masters and priests in those days. As a matter of fact, I like to plug, St. Mary's College was actually the alma mater of the great Butch Stewart in those early days. During those college days, did a little bit of track and field, not very good at it, but my favorite jokes that I tell at times is that I represented the school in shot once at the Champs at Stadium. Of course, I came sixth. And that school actually was placed sixth in the rankings. What I won't tell you is that at that time, only 6 schools participated in Eastern Champs during those early days.
Sounds familiar.
If I may say so myself, I did pretty well academically. I think I've always been in the A stream as long as I can remember. Graduated at 1972 and went on to do A levels at Excelsior High because my original school did not have a sixth form. And you know, did the sciences mostly. And after A levels, went directly to UA in 1974. So by age 21, I actually had completed, you know, a bachelor's in science, biochemistry, maths, and the applied sciences. And you know, because of this non-stop academic trajectory, I didn't experience much, you know, the workplace experience, except maybe one or two holiday job stints. However, my experience was very good. Living on campus for all duration of my time there. And I think it was the first time I met other Kiwanians, later Kiwanians such as DP Chris. He was living in good old Irving Hall, Block B. And you know, during that time, even though we were a science student, we spent a whole lot of time under the craft, listening and somewhat being brainwashed by certain professors berating, you know, capitalist system and the bourgeoisie and the 21 wicked families controlling Jamaica. And you know, in those days, you didn't have to write job application as you know, the US Kennedys and the Mustangs and all those science companies would actually come for you during career week. You know, some of us got you know, good starting salary offers, but you know, with the manly, self-reliant and all the mumbo jumbo about the 21 wicked family, most of us are I personally actually ended up at the Ministry of Agriculture, specifically at the Forest Department, and later as you know, statutory group that they call FEEDCO, Forest Social Development Company. I think that's where I met another to be top level K1 and DP Earl and his dear wife to be Marcia. Well, the long and short of my in the work field, you know, I was posted mostly the country and in Portland in particular. And, you know, traveling up and down the Buff Bay valleys, I started to observe men and women in coffee, red peas, and some, you know, 60-degree slopes. You know, sometimes you'll see the men with 3 or 4 bunches of banana on their back and their head sliding down these hills, you know, skipping over slash and burn areas. And you'd actually see like 2, 3 generations of one family working, the grandfathers, the son, and the grandchildren missing out at school and so on and so forth. And it's only dawned on me at that point that it was the, you know, sacrifices and taxes of these poor farmers that financed our cushion free 1970s education. You know, in the 1970s, education was basically totally free from common entrance days. We used to get stipend through the 6th form and boarding grant at university level. You know, I don't think it cost me $2,000 for the duration as student loan at the university. And I started to think of ways, you know, in which I could give back for some of those privileges that I enjoyed nonstop. Well, after a few years, you know, the anti-capitalist mentality sort of diminished. And of course, government salary at the time, home, car, family, ownership, a bit bleaky. So I made a life-changing decision to ditch the sciences, and I went into a more lucrative profession of life insurance at the Mutual Life company in those days, and literally started over academically but I think I did well, completing the degrees, the CLU, the CHFC, which is Chartered Financial Consultancy course, many management course, straight up to the branch management level. I was even the president of the Sales Staff Association of over 700 professional agents during that point. Well, it was at this point that Kiwanis itself came into my life. I met a Kiwanian by the name of Ovan Jalal. Some of you remember him, he's actually passed. He was actually working in my office. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think DP Marcel was in that group with us at Mutual Life. I was encouraged to join Kiwanis Club of Kingston. And that was the perfect opportunity back in 1987 to become a member. And today I think I'm in my 34th year of service in this club. I tend to tell new Kiwanians when I was actually director of membership growth once, that you must have the urge to help the youth and the less fortunate. If you come into a service club like ours, for the networking opportunities and to hobnob with some of our rich famous, it won't last very long. For longevity, you have to get involved, do a inter-club, and try to go at least one international convention and a couple district convention. Then you'll really appreciate what the movement is all about. And to date, my sojourn in Kiwanis has been very rewarding. I think I've been involved in every single activities and committee operation at every level that I aspire to over these years. When I entered Kiwanis, funny enough, I thought that the Kiwanis of Kingston was a very elitist club. It was, because luncheon at the Wyndham was a very big thing. And there were certain tables and spaces that new grub could not sit. And if you made a mistake to sit at any of those tables, when the big wigs turn up, you had one look and you had to find a lesser table. But that was the least. We had some very, very good Kiwanians, such as Winston Clark, you may not know him, Rex Fennell, Watson, Danny Leslie, and others. They took me under their wings and mentored me for a little while. Right? And I can recall one day, DP Winston said to me, I wanted to come and write some notes at my human and spiritual values committee meeting. Of course, he was chairman for life of that committee. And from that day, I was the secretary of that committee for the next 20 years. And some of you remember that HSV minutes were sometimes 10, 15 pages, doing some 30 to 60 projects every month. And sometimes we had up to 40 to 60 persons at our committee meeting. People had to sit outside in the corridor at the Service Association boardroom most times. And we had our meeting. Yes, that's true. Since then, I've been basically on the Kiwanis Club of Kingston executive continuously, non-stop, for about 19 years now or more, alternating as director, chairman, treasurer, secretary. And every time I say, I'm going to take a break, people like Dale G. Willie and maybe the incoming president come and twist my arm. And I couldn't say no. I don't think Dale G. Willie going to have that luck this time in my last stint at directorship this year. Over time, I've acted as director of membership growth, human and spiritual values committee, community service, so into separated, and alternating every 2 years as director and going back. And I think I was, active in literally every committee over the years. In youth service, I've been active at all the camps, going to Tapioca, Kentire, sleeping overnight with the boys and young ladies. The various hikes to Hollywell. Right? I've been all of them, assisting with the swimming program, picking up and dropping off kids from our various SLP schools. Right? Under the SLP grouping, I did a whole lot of work, I was actually a permanent judge on most of the oratorical, debating, therapy, kids competition, the planning, and even in fundraising. I remember one year I was chairman of co-chairman with the great Benny for one of our best run fish fry, I also acted as Q1 and advisor to Alpha, to Lannerman's Prep, and the key kids at Allied Basic School and Ready Road for quite a while. I also did a few things, treasurer for the company, for the club actually, for a while. Don't think I enjoyed that one. But with the help of people like, PP Victor, we did okay and got through the year pretty well. But the most and the best area that I think I enjoyed was really being secretary of the club. I became secretary at probably the most challenging times in the club history. We had the highest membership at that time of over 278 persons on the roll. Of course, it was also the first time in the history of the club we had to drop 42 members in 1 year. Fortunately, that didn't affect the DP status of the current president at the time. But at that time, the membership record for the club was not in the best shape. Because, we found persons there in the club who were there for 2-3 years, reaching even chairmanship position. And for some reason, when you check Q&S International, they were not registered at that level. And, along with people like Jack Delisa, I had to get all that rectified, and for the first time in years, we fixed the perfect attendance records, created certain spreadsheets, and successfully gave out some pins. I have not seen it happening since then in the club. And I hope that somehow we can get back to that position. Also during that period, we had to put the Legion of Honor records together, again on spreadsheets. And even till today, I still monitor, that Legion of Honor reporting for each incoming president. Of course, another area that I enjoyed, and I implore young Kiwanans to get involved, is in interclubbing. Really enjoyable time, from Montego Bay to St. Thomas. We had some very glorious trips. DT Ralston and Victor Carrington were notorious in their pranks. And while we stop at every water and hole on our way in. Benny, I see you there, I still have that big glass plaque you gave me as top interclubber 1 year when you were the director. Well, President, I can't really wrap my head around the concept of sitting at home, linking on Zoom and calling it an club. But I guess I am still old school, you know. And at one time, I even tried my hand at sergeant of arm. But for the life of me, I can't give a joke like, you know, Stachel or Earl or even Benny. So I didn't pursue that for very long. DP Stu asked me, you know, about my pet peeve over the years. And well, the only one I have, and I've spoken about it many times, is really the disintegration of the benevolent fund. I was, you know, associated with this fund from its inception and the trusteeship days. And it was seeded by one PD Williams, and it fell under the Human and Social Values Committee management all these years. You know, the sole purpose of this was to assist our aging Kiwanians who had problems later. Did some good help originally to some people who are not here anymore, and others are still here. But then my peeve started when you can recall DP Ralston. He developed an hearing problem and it required, you know, ear operation, ear transplanting, and all costing a whole lot of money. So we embarked on a drive to help collect funds for that major operation. PD Dudley Ball was very instrumental and integral in getting our funds. I think we got over 300,000 from the Service Association. DP Winston being past president of that association. With other personal club and, you know, friends contribution, we amassed a good amount of money. But, you know, during that time, DP Winston, I remember well, developed other health issues. Actually, he went on dialysis. And between the doctors and the family, they decided to discontinue the quest for this big ear operation. So we weren't sure what to do with this large sum of money that was specifically donated in charity, you know, for that purpose. So we wrote to all the donors and asked them if, you know, they wanted a refund. And of course, they all said no. And we should put that money into the benevolent fund and into our secretariat development. Well, incidentally, I know a whole lot about the secretariat development, as it was myself, Dudley Ball, and DP Marcel, who were the three committee members of that secretariat that built it from four walls, all tables, chairs, pictures, partition, the initial internet. We all put that in. Anyway, you know, the usual issue of financing some of our club projects, balls and dues to KI, and look at issues. And we deliberated long and hard whether or not we could use that charity money for admin purposes. Of course, KI wouldn't have approved that. So decided, and I was on the board at the time, to use those funds as a loan to the admin consolidated fund. I will say no more, as visitors may be online. But I think, you know, for the next couple administration, I think we should really try and honor the return of that charity money back to the benevolent fund and reseed it so it can continue, you know, what it was designed to do. Anyway, I I was also asked to say something about at a personal level. And well, presently I'm married to Judith. And incidentally, she
And,
shares
and
a
you'll stay that way,
birthday.
sir.
Yes, a birthday and year with Kiwanis Club at Kingston, March 24th. I always come to the anniversary services, cheer. I have 3 children. There are adults now, 2 girls and a boy. They have all deserted me. One in London, one in New York, and the last one is somewhere there in Canada. Hobbies include, most people know, a good game of domino, and I strum my guitar when I am in the mood. Sometime in about 1998, I got tired of working at the executive level. I think at that time I was director of marketing at Blue Cross. And I decided to go on my own, and I opened my own company, which I operate and run up to today. Other things, privately that I've done for the past quarter century. I've worked as a returning officer in the electoral office system. I'm one of only 63 of us in the world, manage, coordinate all election activities in the constituency. That's an awesome constitutional responsibility bestowed on us by the Governor General. It includes final counting of all parliamentary and local government election votes and the certification in writing to the winner, or they can enter parliament without that letter from us. So you have to be 100% impartial. In case of a tie in the count, the returning officer is the only person in Jamaica as a casting vote who will determine if you go as an MP or a councillor eventually. We also have awesome responsibilities, not even the Prime Minister opposition leader has, where we're the only person who can take you off the voters list or put you on, take away that constitutional right to vote, of course, with very, very good reason and protocols. So we also operate, when you have a local government election, and KCOK councillors are elected, before they choose their mayor, returning officers have to act as one mayor and conduct the voting and the installation of incoming mayor for the KCOK. So justice of the peace, a bit of legal and judicial responsibility. All of this I take in stride, as another layer of volunteerism, and take pride in giving back, to our society. Fellow Koreans, I don't know if I've bored you to sleep as I try to present a simple picture of my journey through Kiwanis up to today. So again, I thank you, these two, for inviting me, and I thank all the listeners at this present time. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Eric. But I'm sure we heard, I'm sure we heard a lot of things that we didn't know. I wouldn't worry about the coming 6, at Easter champs, Eric, because if you came 6, I'm assuming you meant the finals. So if you came 6, at least you made it to the finals. So you're the 6th fastest at Eastern Champs. So that's okay. That's okay. Some people go to the Olympics and come last, but they are the 8th fastest. So that's quite okay.
That's a consolation, my friend. That's a consolation. I didn't come last.
Right. Oh, okay, good. Right, that's true. I mean, you came 6th. That's the important point.
6 out of 6. That's good.
Yeah, there were quite a few things I didn't know, you know, but I'm appreciative, especially of that little history about those funds. You know, it's certainly something that I think the board. I think that's something that Dudley used to remind us about. I somehow think that was also something that was a pet peeve of his. And
oh, certainly.
yes, and go ahead.
As a matter of fact, PD Dudley actually on one of the many occasions, of course, we accept the resignation because of that transfer of funds to the admin account that was, due for charity. And
yes,
I hope we can even assist him while he's on a different plane.
Yes.
Even now.
Okay.
To avoid that pet peeve.
And just lastly, I would touch. I didn't know that you were involved with guitar playing. It's something I have kind of struggled with over a few years. So maybe I can, check you out, and you could probably give me some tips because I haven't really reached very far. So I keep that in mind.
Yeah, man. I play the guitar. As a matter of fact, I played in a band at the university. I also played with the national folk singers at one stage too, in the days.
That's great. I only sang with a band at the university, but I didn't play the guitar. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen.
I played culture my band.
Right. So we don't normally solicit questions at this point. But we are willing to take a few after the second presenter has presented. So I'm now going to say thanks again, Director Eric. Thank you very much, Eric, for sharing. And
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, man. I'm really glad that I asked you. And I'm going to now
Yes, we have some members and distinguished members who have joined. Maybe you could recognize them before we proceed.
Okay. I'm not able to. I'm not looking at them. Yes. So if
DP,
you could do
DP
that,
Desmond, yes.
Right.
DP Desmond, could you recognize those members and special guests who have just joined?
I'm trying to identify, President. I know you said Kiwan is international trustee designate. Yes. Hope is with us. Welcome, KIT designate Hope. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
And others, it's easier for me to ask those who have just joined to introduce themselves because I can't identify you that readily.
Yes, we have President Janet from the Sunshine City, and we have Kiwanian O'Neill McDonald. We have the anniversary recovery celebrant, Chris, DP Chris with us. Yes.
As a distinguished Kiwanian Eastern McKinley.
Yes, indeed.
He's been there a long time.
Yes. Okay, so back to you, DP Stuart.
Okay. Let me. Okay, it's now time for our second presenter this afternoon. Let me invite the persons, everybody else, other than the person who is going to speak next, to mute your mic. I think DLG Willie, your mic is open. And good, thank you. So now we have our past district trustee, Ralston Nunes. And the only thing I'll say about him is that he went to my school. So we are Calabar brethren. But I'm not
and not the other way around, right?
No problem.
Well, you don't need to qualify it, because it's not quid.
So as I said, this exercise is really for him to share about himself. So I won't say anything more other than to just say, Ralston, I'm really happy that you agreed to participate in this little ritual that we have. And it's over to you for you to, let's go up close and personal.
Thank you, PDT Stuart. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. So your mic is coming through fine.
Excellent. Mr. President, fellow Kiwanians, good evening.
Good evening, sir. And you can tell me when to queue up.
I will.
Okay.
Maybe unbelievably, I am someone who do not seek the limelight, but I do enjoy it if and when it comes. So when I was approached by DP Stuart to present at this up close and personal session, I was a bit reluctant, since speaking about myself was not something that made me particularly comfortable. However, when he told me that it could inspire someone, even from the point of view of steering clear of the experiences I went through, it became a bit more persuasive and acceptable. My given name is Ralston Douglas St. George Nunes. And I was born in Betheltown in the parish of Westmoreland. Named the town because it was the intersection of roads leading to various nearby districts. It had a post office, a police station, a couple of churches, a public works department, and of course, some bars. So in a sense, it was a center of activity in that area. And great was my time spent there, however limited, but it was indeed my formative years. The recollections are fresh in my mind because it speaks to doing the things that young boys do in the country. And I often wonder, if all of us was to go back to our country, what would Kingston be? But with these things such as following the bigger boys to tie out cows early in the morning, in dew-laden shrub that caught them at below their knee, but was almost up to my shoulder, looking for cold eggs under the cellar. I recall being knocked off a galloping horse by a low-lying limb, or churning the ice cream bucket until your young hands couldn't manage as the ice cream hardened, and your reward was to get that centerpiece after your mother has taken off most of the ice cream. You see, fellow Kiwanians, my single mother, and I stress single, Evelyn Nunes Dispin, was an entrepreneur from early days and sold pastry at the school gate and ice cream in the town square on weekends, and operated a very small shop. So my early formative years was exciting and basically carefree. You know, being her only child, she did her very best for her Raleigh, and she said it with a special ring, Raleigh. No doubt hoping he would become a source of pride for her later. You know, I never found out if my existence was a result of a one-night stand, since I'm not aware of any lasting relationship with the person who was purportedly my father, which he denied initially, only to his regrets later. And so fellow Kiwanians, a father figure was not a feature of my early life until much later, having made some accomplishment. Then I remember belatedly being referred to as my son who flies aircraft. But not to be deterred, my mom gave me her maiden name, Eunice, and embarked on a journey of providing for her one son. That early experience really explained my deep appreciation and love of women and their capacity to accomplish great things. My mother, Vin, was an example I witnessed continually. Independent, focused, and knew exactly where she wanted to go, although she wasn't aware of obstacles to be faced, but would confront them when they appeared. So on her realization that Betheltown, with all its greenery, would not provide her the opportunities that she envisioned for herself and son, she packed up and we came to the big lights of City Kingston. I remember her first tangible, significant acquisition was a home on Penwood Road in Waterhouse. And when she got her prized 6 months visitor's visa to the United States, I went to live with my aunt and her husband at 58 Wildman Street in downtown Kingston. It was one of those big yard situations, you know, living in a single apartment with a curtain that separated your space from theirs. A curtain that did not necessarily keep out sounds or shade the silhouette, so you saw things. I remember having to take your own bathboard to stand on in the communal bathroom when it was your turn. As a young boy, I rode board skates that we made throughout central Kingston, in places you would not venture now in an armored car. So I knew every rut in the sidewalks of Wildman Street, Preet Street, Tower Street, Blue Lane, etc. Names of places now that evoke some fear in persons. On this being returned from overstaying her visitor's visa in the US, and she was there working like hell. She bought premises in the lovely community of Vineyard Town. We spent a number of years there, and then our next stop was uptown Havendale. And I spent time on this to say, life is not an event, but rather a journey that you take step by step, and also to establish Shaggy's song, Strength of a Woman, which may put into perspective my own view on the feminine gender, even the point of supporting their inclusion in our Kiwanis clubs. And I might take some flack here, but you know, while attending Seward Penn Primary School in Tower Hill, I gained a half a scholarship. Those days you had full scholarship, you had half a scholarship, because Michael Manley then wanted as much person to be educated as possible. So I got a half a scholarship to that great institution on Red Hills Road that molded lions to face the rigors of the world. And UDP Stewart was the fortunate of the Spencer's brother to also share that privilege. Admittedly, I was not really an academic and fought with others continuously to come out of the bottom 50% of class, maybe bottom 10%. But I was more of an outdoor person, spent quite some time picking plums on the vast property that Calabar held at the time. While there, I joined the cadet force, which provided another opportunity to enjoy the outdoor. In hindsight, I exhibited certain strong leadership qualities. You see, from my early days at Calabar, senior boys had developed a habit of sending you with inadequate money to buy lunch, and you were told to bring back change. And when they tried that with me on 2 occasions, and I disappeared with the money for a week or 2 until I was caught and suffered some twisted arm and conks in my head. But I also earned some notoriety and was granted the privilege of access to the 6th form block that many other boys in my form could not even attempt to walk on. And DLG Beb's husband, Russell, who we call Midnight because of his skin hue, can readily attest to this. Among my classmates were some very accomplished persons: Bishop Gregory, former police commissioner Francis Forbes, that charismatic Friendship Tabernacle pastor Al Miller, who apparently still pick plums and sometimes loses his gun in doing so. So it was really some fun time, and maybe you could say happy-go-lucky time. But when Mom asked me to focus and say what I wanted to pursue in life, I told her of my desire to be a pilot, having been exposed to it in the cadet course, at least to the theoretical part of it, because the cadets used to give 2 scholarships per year, but I was not the lucky recipient of it. But despite her being of humble means, she never batted an eye and said, if that is what you want, so be it. And you know, I clearly remember my experience when my mother told me to go and tell a neighbor, nurse, that I was leaving. And I went over there and I said, nurse, I'm leaving. So where are you going? So I'm going to learn to fly, Mom. And she said, fly? You see black people fly? And friends, that stayed with me, not only throughout flight school, but throughout my entire career. It actually pushed me throughout that career and was a driving force. So I was trained in Florida and got my airline transport license in 1971 when Eric was coming out of school. And for the next 30 years, I logged thousands of hours flight time and instructed many other persons who are pursuing that career now. So I was afforded the opportunity of traveling to many countries and is convinced that Jamaica physically is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And DG Mel, if he's on, will attest to that. He comes here quite regularly. But this is borne out by the numerous comments of visitors as we flew across the local landscape. So the question is, how was I attracted to service and the charge to be my brother's keeper? Firstly, my mom formally adopted an older boy and a younger girl, giving me a brother and a sister. I recall my mother sending me with stuff to deliver to persons around Christmas and at Easter. And this was her method of sharing her little with persons around who were of lesser means. And when she came back from overseas with a black and white television, I remember having to position it in such a way that persons in the community would sit on the veranda or hang on the fence and get a glimpse of some fuzzy picture, black and white. I also recall 4 or 5 of us who were then students and who were to become senior pilots, sharing lunch meant for one behind the hangar at Tinsupen. You see, in my growing up days, there were many things that I wanted, but did not really need. However, I had intimate knowledge of persons with genuine needs. So joining a service organization came naturally. It was viewed as a vehicle to address inequity, injustice, and positioning persons in a place where their lives could be a bit more comfortable. I was introduced to Kiwanis in 1996 by DP Lloyd Barnett and DLGE Stanley Dunwell. And I served in almost all capacities of the club, becoming president of the club in 2008. And that was after 12 years of training at the feet of Carlton, Levy, Rex Fennell, Michael Meekins, Evan Brown, Norman Keyholt, and DLGE, Trevor Christian. And you could never leave off the E. You would say, remember the E. And many other persons who had a part to play. Persons who we developed a method where while you were at the podium, you could get a hint of how well you were doing by a nod or a shake of the head. But I enjoyed my year as president. Became lieutenant governor in 2013. Actually, I was told by Carlton that I would be LG the previous year. But I clearly recall the LG really pointing out that 13-14 would be the club's 50th anniversary. And past Governor Carlton agreed to that holding strategy. One of the few times I have seen him relent. So 13-14 proved a very challenging but a year of accomplishment. I served with Ben and my good friend, Governor Hope Marks, who's on the call. And we had an excellent year. We worked assiduously to get her elected in Barbados in 2012. So at the same 2013, I was elevated to the chair of my Masonic Lodge as the master. So it was a year when I had actually 2 full-time jobs and some persons were apprehensive. But I am told that I did quite well in both jobs. Then I served as district trustee for a 3-year term, and that's 1 term. Personally, I believe in strong elections as opposed to appointment to positions. I think that elections put value on the office, thus affecting your performance while in that office. I clearly remember the race for district trustee against my dear friend, DLG Gertlin, and how the friendship grew immensely after that contest. As trustee, I claim paternity for this division 23 Central, as I made the proposal to the district board on the grounds of efficient management and the fact that it was becoming onerous for one lieutenant governor to adequately service so many clubs. I possess a deep desire to help the less fortunate, which also explains my love of politics, and you all know that. Not necessarily love of all politicians, but politics when practiced properly. I see it as another vehicle of service, which is why I speak out in defense of persons, and sometimes I speak about the dispossessed vendors from the market in Constant Spring. Why? Because my mother, during one period, also traveled weekly to the US and sold her wares in a market in Port Maria at a time when they were called higglers and later a nicer name, informal commercial importers, ICIs. I am an individual who attempts to speak the truth and to be outspoken and forthright in doing it. I prefer to tell you my thoughts rather than a third party relaying it to you with the possibility of it being distorted. So, picture driving up the road and a herd of cows are coming towards you. 9 on one side and 1 on the other. In most cases, you will see all 10, but I'm almost sure that you will focus on the one that is by himself. I see myself as that one, focused, confident in where I am going, and not necessarily a part of the herd. I can be comfortable in the herd, and I can be led. but not blindly. I tend to ask questions and to make my opinion known. So Ralston Rally, not afraid to take unpopular positions once I am guided and driven by my own convictions. So I never sit quietly in the boardroom. Even at the district, my role as an advocate includes shaking the table to let them know that we are here. EP Desmond? Desmond?
Yes, PDT.
You may
Are you
go ahead.
ready for me?
Yes, I can speak in the meantime, right?
Yes.
Go ahead. So, fellow Kiwanians, turn down the sound. I am married to Kathy, a registered nurse. Blessed with two wonderful daughters. One, Shakima, is married to Edward Hines, and she is creating waves in hospitality. Turn it down, Desmond. She's creating waves in hospitality with a concierge business. And the dad is as a top sought after wedding planner. She has clients such as basketball star Dwayne Wade and others. My younger daughter, Annabelle, also a registered nurse, is a sickle cell warrior. She has battled it all her life and is inspiring numerous other persons who suffer that same condition. She actually volunteered herself as the first human to take part in a particular gene therapy study. My family operates Morningside Retirement Resort, Brookdale Nursing Home. And this was inspired by the fact that a home for our seniors did not have to be smelly, understaffed, and a place where persons waited to die, and wasn't welcoming or encouraging to visit. You see, my own stepfather, because my mother did get married at some point, he ended up in a home which was not welcoming because you would smell where you're going before you got there. And when you got there, the staff patient ratio was so low that persons were just left as if they were waiting to expire. And this was what compelled my wife to enter that business. So my exhortation in any organization is do not take things personally and do not get personal. Set standards and do not be easy to compromise if your position is properly arrived at. Fellow Kiwanians, my take on leadership, based on my experience, is that it is not necessarily about titles or roles. You are required to create an inspiring vision of the future, to motivate and inspire persons to engage with that vision. You are required to manage the delivery, or you roll out that vision. As leaders, coach and build a diverse team so that it becomes more effective at achieving the vision. And I say diverse because sometimes we surround ourselves with persons who are like-minded to our own detriment. You know, it is said that the two greatest moments in an individual life is the day they were born and the day they realize why they were born. So we need to find our why as Kiwanians. We need to remember why we are. It is very important that we know our why. So Ralston really likes to make others happy. I joke a lot, and if you're thin skin around me, you might find my company uncomfortable. I can be, well, I grew up in a boys' school, so that would explain that. My pet peeve is unpunctuality, and that is one of the things I have in Kiwanis, and I wish we could improve that 100%. I am happy coming to a meeting an hour before and I'm perfectly okay. But once that clock reaches the time to start, my demeanor change, my mood change. My friends, President, I have really sought to capture who am I. But in the end, I see myself as a defender against injustice. And so I have dedicated my life to service and to serving not only the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, but any Kiwanian I come in contact with. And it has been a very rewarding life because I've gotten so much positive out of it. And lastly, I recall at our regular feeding program on Hanover Street, and we fed in excess of 100 persons. And the place was not the nicest place to be, but it was so rewarding. And on attempting to exit, somebody held on to my pants, and when I look around, very elderly lady, and she looked up at me and said, "Son, God bless you." I thought it was so genuine, it was uncoerced, and I left there feeling as if indeed I was blessed. And so these are the type of things we get from Kiwanis, not tangible benefits, but certainly the self-satisfaction of serving. So I want to encourage all the younger Kiwanians who have not been through the trenches to know that this is a journey. It's a journey that has rocks in it. It's a journey that has smooth road. But you need to persevere, because if you can touch one life, you can help to change the world. As Kiwani said, one child, one community at a time. Keep it short. I think I have tried to capture as best as possible. I could go until tomorrow, but I will not detain you.
PDT, Ralston,
yes.
This is just a minute. If you just allow me to play it then, huh?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
And that,
All right.
So fellow Kiwanian, that is just a synopsis of the persons who surround me in my family. My daughters, one dark and one light, and my granddaughter and my wife was in that video, along with their husbands. And my younger daughter, which is a darker one, who has a sickle cell. She lives in Cincinnati and she's married to an American white. So I am a part of a very diverse family. Thank you, President. Thank you, DPC. Thank you, Fellow Kiwani.
Thank you, Raleigh. Wow. Wow. That was really something else. I learned a lot. I learned a lot that I really didn't know. And I really think, I want to commend you for, sharing, really sharing. And this is really what I had hoped that this idea of up close and personal would achieve. And you have certainly done it.
And I had to take a swing at Earl. But
Yeah, he won't mind. Or maybe he'll take it out of me.
Those of us who touch the green and black understand that swing you took. Don't worry about it.
I am going to be polite and not remind you that you are Calabar, but we are the bar. But we're not going into that. What I would love to mention is that who are you? Oh yes, that tribute that you wrote for PD Dudley made me see you in such a totally different light.
Oh, the poem.
Like you're a poet.
Yes.
I mean, it was so.
I'm sure Lloyd Barnett will tell you of another tribute I wrote recently.
Oh, well, I wasn't part. Yes, I would love to have heard that one, but believe
and
me.
he's multi-talented boy. Proud of my son, multi-talented.
And I've told him so.
And his son in Masonic activities. Very multi-talented fellow.
Yes, he owes it to color.
Thank you.
And
one other thing, very important.
Go ahead.
I noticed you said you were born, you started in Bethel.
Bethel, yes.
That's my mother's family's start, the name Atkins down there. I don't know if you knew the name.
I know the people. I know the person. And I knew there was something about you that was a bit remarkable.
I went to Betheltown when I was about 6 to stay with my grandaunt. And I didn't like the place. And I said I was going home. And she allowed me to leave with my grip, but I'm going back to 5. But she didn't know where I was going. She just sent somebody after me. And then they brought me back home. That's what I remember, going to the Baptist church there and so on. So Betheltown is an important thing.
Yes. And
family.
And we could add, Earl, that our aunt, who is really a cousin, when you look at it in how it should be, who was
the fellow Kiwanians and members asked for a motion for an extension of time of 15 minutes.
So move.
Seconded.
Yes.
Yes. As I was saying,
when you're ready,
I was saying that our aunt, as I said, who is really our cousin, who got to 100, is now 101. She hails from, she's an original an Atkins from Betheltown. So that's part of the connection and that family. Okay, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, and guests, we are open to a little session of, if you want to seek any clarification, or if you want to ask either Eric or Ralston, any other follow-up.
When you're ready for
the floor is open. The floor is open.
Yes.
So I can go ahead? Okay.
Oh, I didn't know. All right. Let Desmond go first and then Junior. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, my hand is raised there.
Yeah.
All right, this is for Director Eric. Director Eric, are you there?
Director yes, Eric. I'm hearing you.
All right, good. Except for club secretary, why have you not accepted nominations to other officers' positions, such as president, having been around for so long?
Just one of the years I never had interest in DP. I've been asked for the last decade over and over, but just not, I don't think it's up my stream. I'm quite happy to serve elsewhere. Hush.
All right. And my second question is, what has been your most exciting Kiwanis experience?
I think it was 1 or 2 times when I went to Kiwanis International Convention. Kiwanis International Convention really, opened my eyes to what the movement is all about. And I actually was a delegate to one of the district convention, which actually was held in Jamaica here. And I think those are two of my highlights, apart from working with HSV, distributing food and all of that thing at the Christmas, and also running the senior citizen concert for years now. That was pretty exciting, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, okay,
right.
thanks. Junior, you can go next.
Yes, Raleigh. I've been knowing you for so long. If there's something I didn't know about you, I didn't know that you're a country boy.
Well, myself and you grew up in Waterhouse. You were going to that other school.
The better one.
But I remember when Lloyd took me to the top of the Windham, and we came out of that elevator. And the Windham, the doors are kind of extra large.
Mm-hmm.
And when they pushed that door and I saw inside, if the elevator never locked, I gone, because there was all these men in suits, well dressed. I saw a head table about 20 feet long with about 6 banners behind it, filled with banner patches and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one thing that stands out in my mind. In Norman He Holt's administration, you could never approach a podium unless you had on a jacket. I don't care what you were going there to do. And that stands out in my mind.
I remember that as well. But I was saying to you, Westmoreland is not all that bad. Because my grandfather is Stewart. Stewarts are from Westmoreland in Betheltown. My father is from Anchovy, not far away. So, I have some connections to Betheltown as well. So. Yeah, and I was born in, my grandfather is from Betheltown.
Okay.
Yes.
DP Stewart?
Yes.
I see Director Warren has a question in the chat.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Director Warren.
You wrote it.
It's directed
here. PD Ralston, could you
Yes,
tell us about flying school in Florida in those early days? It's 1971, and your flying days.
Flying school in Florida was full of excitement. That's the first place I got arrested. I recall before I'd gotten an apartment, I was kind of walking aimlessly for a while, and I went into a coffee shop to buy coffee. And when I saw all these persons, white persons, I decided to come out on the pier and have my coffee. It was raining. And suddenly here comes 2 police cars with dogs. And they, came and asked me what I was doing. I tried to explain. And they said the same persons who I just bought the coffee from report this strange character. And I was actually taken downtown, but flying school was exciting. It was a time when, it took me a little bit longer, because what they would do, you have an account, and each time you fly, they would deduct the cost of the account, of what you have flown from the account. And so, because I was getting my money in bits and pieces from my single mom, sometimes my account would be depleted and I would not be able to fly for a couple of days. And it made my course a little bit longer. But I got very skilled, because after, I remember not having any money for about 2-3 days, and my roommates didn't know, and I was so hungry. I remember when the money came, I went and bought a 5-piece box of chicken, and I could only eat one because apparently my stomach had shrunk. And so I got a job at a place called Rascal House on the beach. It was a restaurant. And while you was at work, you could eat anything that was provided in that restaurant. And so we just do a little camel thing, pull up when you're at work, and then cruise through the day at school, you know. So it was survival and doing things to survive, and you know. But Florida was good because there was a lot of flying school in Florida, and taught you to be very vigilant because planes was all over the sky and you know in the training ground and what have you. So I was actually in flying school for about 14 months. If things had gone smoothly, it would have taken maybe 10 months, but I was happy for the experience.
Wow. Floor is still open.
PD Ralston, yes, I have a question.
Yes, Benny.
PD Ralston, I remember some time ago you was telling us about a prisoner you were taking from one island to the other.
That's another story.
What was it again?
When I was working with, it was Trans Jamaican Airlines. We used to route flights to Haiti. And on this particular morning, the police brought a man to the aircraft in Montego Bay and said he's going to Haiti and told me that he was being repatriated. You know, we had to pick up some people in Kingston, but when we got to Kingston, and you know, I called ahead and the persons were not there and it was past departure time. So we decided to continue to Haiti. So it was me, Rohan Foster was my co-pilot, and the man on the back, you know, and we're on our way, level up at about 11,000 feet and some distance off the coast. And Rohan said to me, "Skip, the man's smoking." So I said, "Yeah, maybe the man pulling nerves, man. It's all right. I'm alone around there." So I looked around and I, not being able to speak French, I gestured to him and said, "You okay?" And he went like this, as if to say he's okay. But I didn't know it was bye-bye because a couple moments after that, we heard a rushing sound. And when we looked back, Pastor looked back and said, "Skip, the man gone." So I looked. And then I take a second look. And then I saw the open escape hatch. He jumped out of the aircraft. He tried to take the life raft, which is not inflatable in the aircraft, and it couldn't help him until he reached the ground. And he left the airplane. So we turned around and was coming back to Kingston. And whenever you're doing a flight, you have to tell them how many persons on board. So when I call and say, "Manly, 2 persons coming back," him say, "Oh, you leave with 3. I'm going back." But you know, most time you have an experience and you tell it to persons, and there's someone to say, "Boy, you know, I experienced something like that." I've never heard anybody to say, "Boy, they did." And Major, you would have known this Colonel Douglas.
Yes.
He wrote an article, you know, questioning how the man came out of the airplane and what have you. But it was not a pressurized aircraft. And
No,
it
no.
was at 10,000 feet, so you could open.
Yes.
It's a plug type escape.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, Benny.
Yes, man, sounds good. I always remember you told us that, and I find it exciting.
He must have been smoking. He must have been smoking something serious.
I don't know, but when him go, so I never know it's bye-bye.
What's the bye-bye?
Bye-bye to life and bye-bye to...
Oh, boy.
How that story ended, Raleigh?
That's what I want to know.
What happened to him?
What?
What happened to him?
What happened to him?
Yeah, no, you ever find him? Anybody find him?
They didn't even go to look. At 11,000 feet straight.
Yeah.
When you hit that water, you know, brother, you mash up, you know.
Oh,
I imagine.
One thing I can tell you,
what it shows is
you have
that
to take them serious, you know. When you have them in custody and they tell you they're going on hunger strike or whatever they're doing, we as Jamaicans don't know their culture, you know. And when they say something, many times they mean it.
Yeah. And it shows you the desperation of some person because it is alleged that he was part of the Tonton Macoutes
Yes.
And if he landed in 80, that would be it for him. You know, so he just take another way out. Went for a swim.
Yes.
Oh boy.
You use a word, say he was repatriated or repatriating. That's a softer word than he was being deported.
Yes.
Well, the British have a nice term for it now. They call them returnees.
And it's after that there was some hullabaloo. How could you put a man on an aircraft unescorted?
Unescorted, yeah.
Yes.
And after that, they started escorting.
But not only that, he didn't want handcuffs or any shackles or anything.
No. You can't shackle a man on an aircraft.
Yeah, okay.
Oh. Okay. Well, we're getting close to wrapping up, but I still allow a few more. Anybody else has something they want to add?
Yes, I have a. Go ahead, DPD Newton. Right.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Newton, you next.
Mine isn't really a question, you know. It's just an observation with PDT Ralston. I've always been impressed by the fact that he's somebody from I came in, I realized he's always willing to speak his mind, no matter how unpopular, and he's going to do it without it being in any offensive way. But also, strange, he's on that side, but he's also, I find him to be the person in the club with the wickedest sense of humor. I mean, every single meeting, I tend to listen out for his little quip, because I don't even hear what he says and I'm laughing.
He's a live wire, man.
No, he's good. I mean, I've never seen anybody who can handle both sides that easily, being deadly serious and being the humor of the group.
Well, he can take a joke and he can make a joke.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the politician in him.
Yeah, DP Earl has his hand up.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead, Earl.
His political career has not been as successful as his steward. So I'm not sure you want to emphasize that.
Most unkind DP Lloyd, most unkind.
Go ahead, Earl.
I didn't realize how long I had known Director Eric. But the comment I really want to make is that in the same way that Raleigh decided to do up close and personal was when you said something about you might inspire somebody. I wonder if Eric realizes that he could inspire somebody by just trying to go for the leadership post, because he does it in such a modest,
unassuming
way. Others who are unassuming may be inspired to do just that.
DP Earl, I've come to realize in life that everybody's path is different.
Oh yes.
Everybody's knack for service is in a different format. If Eric don't want to go up, do not push it.
True.
Let him continue to work in the trenches, in the quarries where he's happy and producing. It is something that in the organization that you have just learned, you will come to understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not everybody will be a master of a lot. Not everybody will be a president of a club. But the team is the important thing. Everybody produces at the level that they are happy and proficient at. So leave him alone. Eric, don't make
thanks for that comment, because at any rate, even working in the trenches, so to speak, will inspire others to continue on that path too. And
Indeed.
the club needs a team.
But when I think we're missing a president, it is interclub in the way we knew it, you know. And Chris and the man can tell you, we leave here for 2 days, 2 or 3 days and don't come back. And we were not competing with other clubs. We were inviting other clubs to come with us. We weren't competing. And when we went to interclub, we stayed the meeting and long after, and we really enjoyed our friendship. And so we knew people, not just online, but we knew them personally. And you used to come back with all kind of ground for visions and what you do.
Remember, you guys used to go and take over the meeting.
Yeah.
Santa Cruz is one of the famous ones.
Yes. I just say this about Eric too, is that there are members in the club who, you know, some have a higher profile than others. But if you really get to know the persons who sometimes don't seem to have the same higher profile, you will realize just how accomplished they are and just how much work they have done and how much they have contributed to the club. And that's one of the things that I also want to bring out, you know, when you listen to somebody like Eric. Okay.
You know.
All right, one more and then we go. If there's one more. If there's not, then I'll just close this section.
Barnett, as you said, you know, Barnett is not father.
Mel, go there, DG Mel, go ahead.
Yes, with regard to pass DT Ralston, I was on the Kiwanis District Board while he was DT, and first I used to say to myself, you know, this man is very opinionated and has a lot to say. But you know, as I got used to the process, the things that he bring to the attention of the board or make opinion on were very relevant. So I say that to say that he represented his region well. And some of us love him for his opinions, in that a lot of the district trustees will go to meeting and have nothing to say. And after the meeting, they will have big discussions. But Ralston will tell you and make his opinion right there and then. Who like it, and who don't like it, that's your business. But his opinion would have been known. I love you for that, Ralston.
Thank you, Governor.
Okay, that's a fitting final word for this segment. I just want to extend, you know, thanks on behalf of all the members here, guests as well, to Director Eric and PDT Ralston for really coming tonight and sharing in an open, honest, you know, just letting it, I was gonna say letting your hair down, but doesn't seem so appropriate to say it that way. But yeah, you understand what I mean. And we're really appreciative because not everybody wants to do this, and we have to big up those who are willing to do it. And so once again, on behalf of all of us, thank you, Ralston. Thank you, Eric. Back to you, President.
Yes, thank you, DP Stuart, and thank you, Director Eric and Director Ralston.
Yes, he's also a director.
Yes. We now call on our Sergeant of Arms, PD Gladstone Mallet. Over to you, Sarge.
Thank you, sir. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you. Strength 5.
Okay. PDT Ralston and Director Eric, let me congratulate both of you guys for your excellent presentation. A lot of things I didn't know about you guys that I get to know tonight. I didn't know that Eric was a sprinter and coming 6th. I don't know how much people was in the race. And Raleigh, you done well. I like the story about the part when the guy leave you up in midair, but I'm not gonna charge none of you guys for that. What I'm gonna charge you, Raleigh, for is I hope you have enough money from the money that you took from your schoolmate and never come back. You know, when you send you out to buy the stuff and you expect to bring back change, bring back the man change. Okay, a man can send you out and expect to bring back change, you don't bring change. You leave with it. No, man, that's wrong. Even though you might not have enough money to buy, but bring him change back. I like that. So $500 for you, sir. I hope you save some money from that. And Eric, I want to go and charge you $300 for not showing up your face so I can see you.
Okay, Sarge.
All right, sir, ready.
DP Desmond Bachelor. I have to talk to you, sir. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Listen,
Present, sir.
I call you about a week now. 1 week. You have another telephone number that we don't have?
Actually, I responded to you now.
What time?
I don't know. It's on your phone. I sent you a text message and you didn't reply.
No, sir. That's about 10 o'clock. That's about 10 o'clock when I go to bed. So it's $300,
10 o'clock?
$300 for not returning my call and $200 for calling me after hours, sir.
All right, sir.
DP Marcel. DP Marcel around?
He left after the invocation.
Yes, he in fact, he did say that he had to retire early.
Oh, okay.
But,
well, all right.
yeah.
His case will be
we can really find him.
Yes, sir. I'll wait until I see him next week.
He's an early to bed guy like you.
Early you watch it, you know. Anyway, all the other Kiwanians, make sure you grace the kitty. $200 each. Now, a little boy was counting the addition one day in the kitchen, and his mother heard him. He was saying, 4 plus 4, the son of a bitch is 8. 6 plus 6, this son of a bitch is 12. So his mother heard him and said, what are you saying? He said, I'm counting. She said to him, who taught you that? He said, my teacher. So she said, all right, go on. So she went away and she called the teacher. She said, are you Miss Smith? She said, yes. He said, are you teaching our son math? Are you teaching the children math? He said, yes. Are you teaching them 6 plus 6? The sum of a bitch is 12. So the teacher went silent for about a minute, and then she laughed and said, no, I never told them that. I told them that 6 plus 6, the sum of which is 12.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right, that pass.
I've got charges Sarge for that.
Charges Sarge about $1,000.
Never delivered right at
Hey, Junior, if it was at Kingston, come and for buy around.
Well, that's serious round.
That's serious round. Wall to wall.
1 hour after curfew.
Remember, it's his second night.
No, man, it's an experience, Sarge, man. Them joke there.
Long time, Sarge, you know.
That was a good joke.
Hello, it's a constable joke, that man, not sergeant.
Your friend them rum.
Listen this one. Listen this one.
All right.
Listen this one.
Mine say Sarge. Now that's why it's quit while they're on top.
No, man, listen this one. Listen this one. I'm not a quitter. A little girl, our teacher says to her, what's your special subject? She says, maths. She says, all right, if I give you 2 apples, another 2 apples, and 2 more apples, how many apples do you know have? She said, 6. I said, all right, good. If I give you 2 pair, another 2 pair, and 2 more pairs, how many pairs do you know have? She said, 6. I said, all right, that's very good. I said, if I gave you 2 rabbits, 2 more rabbits, and another 2 rabbits, how many rabbits do you know have? He said, 7. He said, what are you saying? She said, let's go back over it. 2 apples, and another 2. That's 6. 2 pairs, 2 more pair, another pair. How much pair do you have? She said 6. Said, all right. So if I gave you two rabbits, another two rabbits, another two rabbits. How many rabbits do you now have? She said 7. She said, how do you know how do you do your math? How do you get to 7? She said, Miss, I have another rabbit at home.
Of course.
Can you quit while you're ahead, boy?
Yeah. What about the peers?
Same pair.
Eh? How she get 6 pairs?
6 pairs, 6.
2 plus 2 plus 2.
He didn't have any more. He didn't have any more pairs.
I would have thought that is 3 pairs.
The rabbit she
Benny,
had one up.
Benny.
Yeah.
I heard a joke about the student who came home. Little girl. She said, Mommy, I'm not going back to school. The mother said, why is that? She said, yesterday, Miss told me that 4 and 4 is 8. Today, Miss said 6 and 2 is 8. The day before, she said 5 and 3 is 8. Mommy, I'm not going back to school until Miss make up her mind.
Right, reasonable.
Tell us when to learn.
Miss Betty was on school.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
That's consistent with Benny.
You rescue Benny.
Well, thank you, Sarge.
Next week, you don't give us no more math joke, though. You have to come with another one.
Yeah.
Okay, we now move right along. Yes. So notices and announcements and interclubbing opportunities. DLG William Reese will lead us on that.
Thank you, President Richard. Fellow members, our benefit performance and Mojo and Flow scheduled for Thursday, August the 12th, 2021 has been postponed. Unfortunately, the promoter Jambies are going to have to cancel bookings with the hope of rescheduling at a later date. Based on uncertainty, they are not foreseeing any change for the next month or 2. Upcoming projects, the tree planting project at St. Hugh's, hopefully this Saturday, if not following Saturday, and the painting of speed bumps and pedestrian crossings at Michael University College in collaboration with Michael Circle K. Interclubbing opportunities, the schedule for the remainder of the month is to be sent out tomorrow. Unless anybody has any other notice, President Richard, those are notices and announcements. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. DP Stewart, let us have the thought for the week before toast and termination.
Sorry. Okay, President Richard. Yeah, I have 2 short ones this week, as usual. This one is, it's not what we don't know that hurts us. It's what we know that ain't so. And the second one, you never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice there is. Those are my 2 thoughts for the week, Pres.
Okay, thank you very much. Fellow Kiwanians and guests, I now invite you to raise your glasses in a toast to Kiwanis International, Jamaica, land we love.
Mr. Gertlin.
This meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston is hereby terminated.